This is The Spot, a BYU-Idaho radio production where we talk about what you are talking about at BYU-Idaho. Today's hosts are Travis Richards, John Lindsay, Ali Valdez, and me, Brian Bridge. The views and opinions of this podcast are not that of BYU-Idaho Radio or the university and are solely the opinions of the hosts. Welcome into The Spot, the podcast run by BYU-Idaho students. We have a couple BYU-Idaho students here with us today. My name is Brian Bridge. I am a communications student going into sports broadcasting. We also have Ali Valdez. Ali?
I'm actually Ali Valdez Bridge, but I haven't changed that yet. Anyways, I am a communications student going into strategic organization.
Woo! And Travis Richards.
Yeah, I'm Travis. I am a communications student with an emphasis in journalism, and I'm the co-host for The Spot with Brian today.
Ooh, we are excited. We'll get right into it right away. We are talking about Stranger Things Season 4.
Heyo.
Not only Volume 2, but Volume 1. We like to talk about things that BYU-Idaho students are talking about on campus, and along with all these Marvel movies coming out, whether it be Doctor Strange or Thor and everything else, Stranger Things is definitely, if not top of the list, it shares a spot with a few other things. So let's get into it. Stranger Things Season 4. Number 1, Travis, I want to ask you, because we were talking about it a little bit before recording. What's your satisfaction level with this season, with both volumes in general? Go for it.
Yeah, so Season 4 is definitely one of my favorite seasons of Stranger Things, and Brian and I have been talking about, we've been ranking the seasons, and I definitely think the first season is my favorite season, and then Season 4 is my second favorite, but then I have to go with Season 2, and then I feel like Season 3 was the worst season. So as far as my satisfaction level for Season 4, I believe that I'm going to give it 8.
I just don't understand, and Ali, you can join in on this if you want, but I personally felt like Season 3 was amazing, and whoever thinks that Season 2 was better than Season 3 obviously needs to go back and rewatch. I mean, what about Season 2 tops Season 3 in your mind?
I think Season 3 was a big adjustment for me because Season 1 and Season 2, everyone was just kids and having fun. And then it took a while for Season 3 to come out, and all of them were a lot older by then. A lot of them had grown. A lot of them were taller. A lot of them had deeper
hit puberty.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a good point.
So, but I feel like there was just a lot of unnecessary clutter with the focus being on Steve.
That's right. You were talking about that. Steve and Robin.
Robin, yeah.
A lot of people call her Maya, mostly because Maya Hawke is kind of getting famous now, so they just go by her name.
I definitely remember her by the actress's name, Maya Hawke. So Robin, I don't like the emphasis with Steve and Robin and the Scoops Ahoy. I feel like they just spent so much time on them, and I wanted Dustin to be with the other kids, but Dustin was hanging out the whole time with Steve. And I like that bromance, but I don't think it was necessary for the show.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 is necessary. We love Steve.
I personally feel like that added to it, and then what topped it off was Billy's character arc. But Ali, give me your satisfaction level of Season 4. Now, Ali is a little bit more unique. I think both Travis and I watched Stranger Things Season 1 when it first came out, Season 2 when it first came out, Season 3 when it first came out, and of course Season 4 the same thing. But Ali, she watched Season 1 relatively close to when it came out, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But then after that, she slowed down. She kind of took the whole train of, I don't really want to watch
I went
it.
on a mission, and so I couldn't.
That too. Okay, fair enough. But she didn't watch it like you and I did. And so from a perspective of, I just watched all 3 seasons right before Season 4, which season tops the list for you?
I would definitely say that Season 1 and Season 4 are up there for me. Season 2 I just don't really like kind of what Travis was saying. I don't like how they're beginning to go off in their little cliques and everything, and I think that began in season 2. But I did like season 3. I sobbed at season 3, so it was so sad for me.
Allie's very good at looking up spoilers, and I tried so hard to not spoil Hopper's.
Hello, spoiler warnings if anyone hasn't seen it.
If you haven't seen it, then get out of here. But Hopper's quote-unquote demise.
Yeah.
And so I thought I did a pretty good job. I was proud of myself that she was crying her eyes out.
I was sobbing. So yeah, I think season 3 is a lot better than season 2 just because of that emotional pool. But I think season 4 was great. There was a bunch of great scenes, like, for example, with Max and Vecna for the first time in episode, I believe, 4.
It was either 3 or 4, yeah.
I think it was 4 because it was like the last one. Like, Max was great. I love that. And then Lucas with the last episode, oh man, gut-wrenching.
Yeah, what's funny is I was just listening to another podcast about Stranger Things, and they were talking about how Winona Ryder was amazing at acting in season 1. Then you had Will in season 2. He was great at acting. And then they were talking about Caleb in season 4.
Yeah, I definitely feel like you get to know Lucas and Max on a higher level in season 4.
Yeah.
And you could tell that at first their relationship wasn't as strong because Max is still going through the trauma of losing Billy. However, I feel like the season does a good job of having both characters develop in a way that makes the last episode so fulfilling, knowing that when it all boils down to, their relationship is so important to each other.
Yeah, I think that season 4 will be remembered for 3 episodes. The last episode, the Vecna reveal episode, and then Max is running up the hill. If you think about all the other episodes, they're not as memorable.
It was pretty long, I would say. Like, the last episode, it kept seeming to keep going, and I'm just like, okay, what happened?
Quick story time. Allie and I watched it on the plane, and, man, it took a while for it to end there. After a couple scenes, like, especially when Max had her eyes bleed out, I was like, okay, I'm ready for the episode to be over now. And it just kept kind of rolling on, especially with Steve and Jonathan, or Nancy and Jonathan getting back together.
That was kind of awkward.
Yeah, it didn't feel necessary at that point.
I'm definitely a Steve and a Nancy ship.
Steve and Nancy all the way, I agree.
Yeah, I just feel like the storyline, like they were just ramping that up, and for it to kind of kill the vibe there at the end with Jonathan and Nancy getting back together was kind of,
I'm very curious as to see what they're going to do with that, with the last season 5.
Well,
maybe that, because the Duffer Brothers did say that they're gonna have an extended, like, they're gonna do a new series with some minor characters. I mean, Steve and Nancy are pretty major characters, but not the most major. But I'd watch it.
Yeah. In relation to that, let's get to our next point, which is, what is the craziest theory that you've heard? Allie, you started to get into it. I'll go ahead and go first, okay? I think something that a lot of us have been hearing on social media is that this is Will's coming out party. And that's fair. I think that is 90% plausible. But one of the craziest theories that I've heard in relation to Will kind of being a human body for number 1 or Vecna, so that Henry can then go and kill everybody, is that, again, Will is still being controlled by Vecna. And remember the scene where he's in the van and he's crying and stuff like that? I've seen that Will is taking everybody back to Hawkins so that Henry can kill them.
Wow.
Will is clearly trying his hardest to be a normal kid, but Henry is still inside of him, and Henry is telling him, bring everybody back to Hawkins. I'm going to kill you, your family, and your friends. But yeah, that's all I got. Travis, what do you have?
Yeah, so my craziest theory is definitely surrounds the character Eddie. Eddie was probably one of my favorite characters, and I think it's a similar theory as you guys have shared, but it has to do with Eddie being number 10. And
what?
Well, Wait, what? I've never heard that. Explain this.
Okay.
And if anybody is a little bit less of a Stranger Things fanatic than all of us, when he says number 10, number 11 is part of this group of children. We've met number 8. Number 1 is the villain, Vecna.
We've kind of met like all of them though from like the beginning.
Yeah, there's maybe 1 or 2 numbers that we didn't really hear.
I thought Vecna was number 1.
Vecna is number 1.
Okay.
So Vecna's number 1. By the way, you are hearing the voice of John Lindsay. Say hello to everybody, John.
How's it going?
It's going good, John. All right, so yes, Vecna is number 1, but Eddie Munson? Travis, continue.
Okay. Yeah, there's just a lot of mystery surrounding Eddie Munson, especially since his uncle knew that there is some trouble with him. And I don't know all the details surrounding, but the theory I did see is that he was number 10. So he was definitely part of the experiments.
So that's very interesting. I don't think that theory is true because I've seen that if you're into D&D, I was kind of into D&D in high school. Like I played like one game or whatever, but Vecna gets destroyed by a vampire and Eddie is killed by bats. And so they think that he becomes that vampire and is the one that destroys them.
Yes,
So
I've
that
heard this
theory.
one.
Okay,
And
that one's pretty crazy.
if you look
I
at...
think that's more plausible than him being 10, but believe in what you want, Travis.
I don't know about the number 10 one, but if you look at a poster for season 5, there's...
They already have posters? Or are they fan-made?
Yeah, they're probably fan-made posters.
I don't think they're fan-made, especially this one. Anyways, it's on TikTok, okay? Everything is
So it's
technically
fan-made.
fan-made. Anyways, you have the Mind Flayer up in the air, like what we saw at the end of season 4. And part of it, there's like little blobs of red sky, right? And in one part of the red sky, there's like a little tiny figure, and people think that's Eddie. People think Eddie's going to come back, just as much as Max might come back.
I think he might just because...
I think Max has a higher chance of coming back than
For
Eddie
sure,
does.
for sure.
Well, I think Eddie is such a beloved character right now. Like, everybody loves him. And also, yeah, the Max thing is very interesting because people are saying that she will come back when Vecna dies because Vecna has, like, taken her because he takes everything from...
Yeah, but she can't come back from blindness.
Well, yeah, but she can heal her broken bones.
Yeah, anybody can heal bones.
But anyways, I think that next season that they should or that they will kill off some main characters. And Brian was stealing my theory because I showed him yesterday that Will is the connection and he's the Vecna's, Henry's, one's connection to Hawkins. And so the way for him to be dead for real is by killing Will.
Yeah, man.
And I feel like that would
crazy.
be great just because it'll begin how it started.
Killing Will?
Well, not really, but he was lost. So.
Yeah, Will disappearing. Yeah.
I feel bad because I don't know about you guys, but when I first watched season 1, I didn't really like Will. I thought
Well, he
Will...
wasn't in it as much. I feel like it's now... It's so weird because... Go ahead, Travis.
Yeah, so season 1, you don't see him at all, except for the first episode. Season 2, the Mind Flayer's in him, so he's acting really crazy. Number 3, he's starting to realize that he's different than all the other guys in the group. And then in season 4, I think he's starting to discover his own sexuality. So I don't think it would make very much sense for them to kill him off.
I think they're going to do it.
I personally think that they're not going to kill any main characters off at all. I was, again, listening to this podcast, and they're like, the fans are wanting it, but if it were to actually happen, they would be so upset. Like, if Steve actually died,
Oh, yeah.
that'd be crazy.
Hurt my heart.
It would hurt so bad.
I've also saw a theory about how 11 could die, too.
Okay, I will stop my argument. I do think 11 needs to die.
Okay.
Why?
In order for this, and by the way, that's the voice of John. I know John and Travis sound alike, but I just think 11 started this all. And if 11 were to stay alive, this whole thing would keep going. Would it not? She would keep opening things on accident.
Yeah. I can see that.
So she can't live a normal life. I'm sorry. She's not normal.
Just let her be loved by Mike.
I have grown a fondness for Millie Bobby Brown over the past year, but nah, she needs to die. She needs to die.
Here's my theory.
Go ahead.
Here's my theory. So, I think that Vecna and Elle have a special connection because of where they're from, right? And so what I think will happen in the end is that, is it the Mind Flyer or the Mind Flayer? What is it? Which one is it?
Mind Flayer.
The Mind Flayer.
I've heard both. I can't talk.
Okay.
I've heard both. But anyway, what I think will happen is that Vecna, there's still some good in him, and he still has some connection. Kind of like a Darth Vader thing going on, okay? And I think he will team up with Elle against a Mind Flayer in the end.
Okay.
So I kind of see that because I think that's what Elle was trying to do at the end, after the final episode, because she was like, well, Papa's dead, so we're good now.
Yeah. Right.
And so I think I could see that coming and everything. But and I'm not sure if this is confirmed, but I'm pretty sure Vecna controls the Mind Flayer. I'm pretty sure he controls
He does.
everything in the Upside Down.
He does. And that's
Brian's like very serious about it. He does.
That's why that theory is a little bit holy. It has a few holes in it, but it brings up an interesting point because you bring up Darth Vader and
The classics.
I also feel like, though, that the Duffer Brothers have been using a lot of 80s movies and...
Well, okay, I'm going to bring up a point here, and I think this is a theory that I want to be true. So we met Eleven's mother completely in season 2, but we were introduced to her in season 1. Her name is Terry Ives, and we know that she, for some reason, was contacted by Dr. Brenner, and she was doing drugs while pregnant, and so that was the claim as to why 11 had these powers. But my theory is that Vecna, Henry Creel, number 1, by the way, these are all the same person, is the father of all these children.
I don't think so.
I think that's
Can we
totally
just
gonna
say
happen.
that the banter between Steve and Robin was so funny when they were trying to figure out which name to use for Victor
Oh,
Creel.
yeah. That's kind of...
Henry
What are we supposed
Creel,
to call
number
him?
1. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
It's realistic because that's how we
Well, have
Stranger
you
Things
seen
fans
the
are.
have you seen the theory about Will's mom? No, not Will's mom. Mike's mom being Henry's sister.
Yeah, I'm not a go on that one.
Yeah, but they've used her poster. That's why I'm still confused. Like, why put her face on a poster when she did nothing?
Because she's a famous actress, and personally, I think Cara Buono, the actress, is attractive. So
Oh, so you'd be Billy?
yeah,
You'd seduce her in the pool?
Honestly, her character had no development.
Yeah,
she
none
was
at all.
probably non-existent in the whole
Yeah.
series.
Yeah.
not the
Except-
whole
Except for
series.
season 3.
Season 3, she played a big part
Yeah.
because she,
Yeah,
well,
she was about to freaking have sex with an underage
she's about to
child.
cheat on her husband for Billy. Okay, so let's
Although
move
I
on.
would. Oh, what?
Whoa, Allie. Okay. Let's move
Okay,
on to our
but-
last... Go ahead, Travis.
Yeah, your theory was pretty good, though. I'll have to go with that one.
I like it.
Wait, which one? The
that
Vecna's?
Henry is the father of all these
I
children.
don't know.
I think so. Anyways, due to time restraints, let's move on to our last topic. What do we expect for season 5? And so that kind of goes along with our theories, but let's start with one of the easiest things to talk about. What's going to happen with Max? I mean, as soon as she went up in the air and she started to break her bones, I knew she could come back from 1 or 2 broken bones, but as soon as she went blind, I was like, just kill her off. I wouldn't want to live like a lemon. And I know blind people are not lemons, but the state she's in right now, she is completely gone. I mean, her mind is with Vecna. And so I thought they should have killed her off, but what can we expect for season 5 just in general? Travis, you start.
Well, let's start off with Max. I feel like Max is going to come back, but I don't think she's ever getting to see again. I feel like her vision is gone for good. But I don't think we're going to see her very much in season 5, just because she's still on a hospital bed in a coma, basically. So that's something that I'm going to see going forward with Max. However, with season 5 in general, I believe that they're going to figure out how to stop these gates from creating earthquakes in Hawkins, which is going to be difficult just because the Upside Down and real life Hawkins is starting to converge and become one. And so figuring out how to stop the Upside Down from consuming real life Hawkins will be something that's very prevalent, and how to let the outside world know what's actually happening.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are so hung up on Max and just other things that they totally forget there's a huge hole in the middle of Hawkins.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with that? Allie, we'll go next to you.
Oh, no, you can go to John.
All right, John, you're on the clock.
Okay, here's what I think. I think Max has a bigger part than what you guys think. And I think because she has had that interaction with Vecna, and she has survived, and she was able to get out of the Upside Down, I think that she has some powers now.
I think you're right. That's one of the theories that we were just talking about that I think is nearly the most plausible.
So here's the thing, though. I think that she will not have as much of a part in the beginning of the season, but I think that she will heal in some form. Maybe not her blindness, I'm not sure about that. But I think she will heal and come back and have a huge part to play as in fighting Vecna in the end.
Yeah.
I can kind of see that. I wonder though if like she's not going to fight him in the physical form, but just in her mind. And because you could tell that she's not really in her mind when 11 tried to reach out to her. And so I could see that. I could see her.
Well, do you remember, so season 2 was based all around Will being able to, well, communicate with both the Mind Flayer and people in his surroundings. Max might take on that role of like, okay, let's put Max in this room so that Vecna doesn't know where we are, and let's try to communicate with them. Now, something we haven't talked about yet, and again, with our limited time here, I want to bring it up. Nobody's talked about a theory that I've heard all over the place, number 8 being brought back in.
I also think that she will come back because in the first scene of the first episode in season 4, they had to roll an 8 to like.
Do you know what she's talking about, Travis? Yeah. Travis is like, of course.
So they had to roll an 8 to save them from Vecna or whatever the monster was. And so I think she will come back, and I don't see why they wouldn't. And they might not because of the bad reviews of season 2. Sorry, Travis. But I could see that happening. I also think that I'm just interested to see what they're going to do because they said that they're doing a time jump. And so how much
what do they
jump?
mean? Yeah,
well,
what do they mean?
I think they have to do one because the kids are getting older, you know? But, like, what's going to happen in between that time? Is Vecna just, like, trying to regain his strength? Are the kids, like, graduated? Will Steve still be there?
If, you know, in talking about time jumps real quick, if you go back and watch season 1, they look like totally different kids.
Oh, yeah. Definitely
Mike. Especially. Mike looks like a 5-year-old in season 1.
And Will. I feel like Will's been the other one who has changed a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, is Will going to still have the bowl cut?
Of course.
Yes, they're not gonna do it with
the
that.
Duffer Brothers have confirmed one and only one thing. He will have a bowl cut in season 5.
That's funny.
Travis, what do you think about number 8 coming back?
I don't like it. That was probably one of the worst episodes.
What?
It was just a filler
And yet
episode.
he says season 2 is better than season 3.
Fake.
It is. I mean, apart from that one episode, season 2 is a better season.
But I'm actually going to say that number 8 doesn't come back. I just don't think that they ever planned for her to come back, and that in trying to balance 11 defeating Vecna max defeating Vecna. I just don't know if they need number 8.
How much of a time jump do you think is going to happen between season 4 and season 5?
So I think that right away they'll start off exactly where they were, and then I think maybe halfway through the season they might do a time jump, and we'll see Hawkins in this like war-laden state of like it's been 2 years since the big earthquake.
Kind of like an Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame.
I think
scenario.
it's probably going to be 2 years.
2 years, you think?
Yeah.
So, man, big things coming for Stranger Things. We are all big fans here. Travis, John, Allie, and of course for me, Brian. We appreciate you joining us here on the spot. This podcast is for BYU-Idaho students, made by BYU-Idaho students, and
listened by BYU
and listened to by BYU-Idaho students. Again, we appreciate you joining us, and we hope you have a great rest of your afternoon. See you guys.
Peace.
You've been listening to The Spot, a production of BYU-Idaho Radio. Today's hosts were Travis Richards, John Lindsay, Ali Valdez, and Brian Bridge. The views and opinions of this podcast are not that of BYU-Idaho Radio or the university, and are solely the opinions of the hosts. This episode was edited by Brian Bridge. Producers were the hosts with supervision by Brandon Isle. Our theme music is Finding Happiness by DJ Quads, and The Perpetual Ticking of Time by Artificial Music. To listen to more episodes of The Spot, like and follow us on social media, or visit our website byui.edu/radio and click podcasts. Be sure to subscribe to the BYU Idaho Radio podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, or wherever you get podcasts. And also leave a review of the show and leave a comment on what we should talk about next.